The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Hey.
Welcome to the September 8th edition of One Nation Radio here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. I'm your host, Rich Latta, of course, here with my co-host, James Boyd. James, what's going on, man?
Not too much, except football! Football is back. NFL football to be particular. I'm having a hell of a time watching it so far. Rich, I know you don't really do that shit no more, and I don't blame you. It just I can't stop myself from watching this shit. Look, I can't stop myself from watching grown adult men, damage their brain cells one play at a time. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
That's how it be. I mean, I won't judge you for it. Just personal choice for me.
You probably should.
Right? This is my third consecutive year of not watching the NFL, not participating in fantasy, none of that. Until Colin Kaepernick either A, declares himself retired or somehow finds his way back into the league, I will not associate with the league. So, yeah, man. But I couldn't avoid the news cycle over the weekend with Antonio Brown.
Oh, God.
My timeline was flooded. I had to get on the jokes. I heard what happened. This man, Antonio Brown, for those of you guys that are unfamiliar, he's not even a wrestler. He may get nominated for the One Nation Radio Jeff Jarrett Finesser of the Year award. James, what the fuck happened with Antonio Brown? What happened here?
Okay, so the date, I'm gonna get the dates wrong or whatever, but somewhere in like the mid to, I want to say like the late 2000s. You remember Mike Wallace? He used to play for the Steelers.
Yes.
Yeah, like the Steelers have always been like the best team at drafting and developing wide receivers. Like that runs from Hines Ward to Plaxico Burress to Santonio Holmes to Mike Wallace to Antonio Brown to Juju Schuster-Smith right now, or Smith-Schuster, whatever it is. So like they've always done well with receivers. So Mike Wallace is set to get his deal, and he turned down the deal thinking he'd get more money. I believe he actually did get more money with the Miami Dolphins, and that ended up more or less ending his career because turns out Ben Roethlisberger, you kind of need that guy as opposed to playing with whatever garbage they were throwing out there in Miami. Anyway, that extension, they decided to turn around and just give to Antonio Brown when Antonio Brown was a younger player. That was his first big money deal. And he was coming up upon the end of that. I think they extended it at one point too. So, but they were coming to the end of that. So you look at his age, he was 30. He turned 31 a couple months ago. Le'Veon Bell held out all last year. They, traded him or let him go or walk, whatever it was, where he ended up in getting his money with the Jets. He looks at it. I'm 30. I'm on the wrong side of 30 now. This is going to be my last substantial deal if I can actually get one. Him and Ben's volatile. Ben has always been a fake leader. Ben also, is a rapist. Talk about all that other stuff you want to, but that blew up because, Ben is not built to be a leader, and he's always been a bit of a diva-ish, even though he is somebody that plays through a shit ton of crap and injuries out of his career, whatever else. Like, it's a mixed bag of good and bad with Ben Roethlisberger without his life and career, and bad decisions as well. So, anyway, that blows up. That situation blows up, and it's like, are you going to keep a receiver? Or are you going to keep a quarterback? They kept the quarterback. So then they decided to trade AB away. AB, apparently one of the suitors were the Patriots. The Patriots willing to offer a first-round draft pick. You know briefly about the history of the Patriots and the Steelers when it comes to NFL football over the last, let's say, 19 years. Rich, how is that done? That resemble more like a hammer and a nail?
It looks strangely similar to Serena Williams versus Maria Sharapova over that time, from what I recall.
Except Sharapova actually beat her in a Grand Slam final one time. So like the Steelers actually won. Sharapova actually one time went through Serena to win something that mattered. That's never happened with the Steelers and the Patriots. So they basically were like, hell, fuck no, we're not trading the Patriots and Antonio Brown. Are you crazy? So we'll ship it. They thought they were going to be Popovich and be Petty, or Pettyvich if you want to do it. We'll trade his ass to NFL Siberia, and the NBA that's Canada, and right now for the last 20 years, more or less, has been Oakland. Trade him to Oakland, and they gave him a 2-year extension, and I think it was like $30 million guarantees, or 15 between the 2 years of guaranteed money. So there's some speculation that, there were suitors. He knew there were suitors. But there's no way for him on the wrong side of 30 to get to that money. Get to his last substantial deal as opposed to playing almost like year to year almost. So, or playing almost like on a 1-year insurance policy, almost like he's playing at one and one as an NBA player. But NBA players, are far more dominant and valuable to a team success and are therefore more expensive than NFL players. So what he does is he proceeds to act as, after being more much a model citizen in the NFL for, almost a decade, he decides to act the damn ass in the last 10 months, including him getting his ass out of Pittsburgh. So at one point, he had the foot injury thing with the cryogenic chamber, whatever else. He froze like the bottom of his feet off, skin damage. He recovered. He was complaining about having his old helmet, being able to play with that because it's been outlawed. He fought for that for whatever. He talked about he may retire, weird stuff. Then, because he starts missing mandatory practices, he got fined, and then he goes on social media and posts the letter about him getting fined from the GM, Mike Mayock. And he says, I don't want to be fined, because obviously it's all about money for the most part. So apparently he walks up on Mayock, and then he has an exchange where at some point he says, I'm not going to get into what he says specifically. You can if you want to. I don't feel like dealing with it. But
y'all can look it up.
He gets into it with the GM, and he mostly says, like, look, he punts a football away in the sense, like, he says something along the lines of, I'll punch you in the face. And then he also said he punts a football from a practice football and says, now fine me for that. So he's away from the team. People think they're going to cut him. Players reach out. Apparently, he comes back and he gives a heartfelt apology to the team. Gruden accepts the apology, thereby cutting off his own GM's nuts. So he's set to play until apparently they decide they're going to fine him for something like another fine is like conduct detrimental, which means he loses all of his guaranteed money. Which means, like, okay, so, like, I'm going to play it for you, and then anything happens, I'm going to lose the money I have. My insurance policy is gone for the next 24 months. How about this? Release me. He asks to be released. They release him. And then, like, less than 5 hours later, he's a New England Patriot.
Unbelievable.
So, therefore, he lost the insurance policy of the extra year in case of injury. Sure, yes. But now, this time, he gets to enter into free agency at 31 as opposed to being 32 at the end of the Oakland deal. So he actually has a chance to get one last extension deal before he's out of the game.
And he'll probably increase his profile with the Patriots.
Yes.
He'll like have a good season with a good quarterback. He'll be in a starring role. He essentially got everything he wanted. So
and he'll be on the best team he's ever been on. He'll play with a quarterback better than David Carr. I'm sorry, Derek Carr. Sorry, brothers. And he gets to go on. He basically gets the same money he's gonna get already, and then he spends a year and he chills out there for a year, and all of this shit from the last 10 months goes away, and he's back to being the model NFL player that he was the rest of his career prior to these last 10 months.
So, like, with this talk of, in wrestling, people not being able to get released from their deals, maybe more of them should go holler at Antonio Brown and figure out, if there's something they can do to go ahead and facilitate some of these releases.
Well, the thing that Antonio Brown has that the wrestlers don't have is he's part of a union that collectively bargains in partnership with the ownership.
Yeah.
So you can't. You would love to be Antonio Brown, but you can't. Sorry, Sasha. Sorry, Luke Harper. Sorry, anybody that sorry, everybody that's stuck in Ring of Honor with this foolishness around them while they can be in AEW instead. Sorry, it is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, an all-time finesse job by Antonio Brown, getting to the team he wanted to go to, never having to play it down for the Oakland Raiders and John Gruden and that disaster of an organization. And
another part about it is to add about the reputation thing. A year from now, or I'm sorry, 5-6 months from now, what we'll be saying is, or more than likely is, Antonio Brown helped the Patriots win the Super Bowl. He became the biggest weapon for them after Gronk retired. Look how well he behaved for the months of time. It's almost like, and you think about the rest of his history, like the only people he ever beefed with was Ben Roethlisberger, rapist, and the Oakland Raiders, who have been the worst ran team in the NFL since 2002. And then people will be like, maybe it wasn't AB. Maybe these bad situations have poisoned him. Maybe and then people will think, you know what? He knows how to behave. And then everybody goes and gets in their ego of thinking, I can also coach him. I can also do this and get away with it. And that's how we end up where we are. So, or where we will be.
And he will have another bag dropped off at the Brown residence. So,
yeah. And also, him on the Patriots with a Super Bowl, like, this clinches him being a Hall of Famer. Like, he was already a guy that had Hall of Fame numbers and a great case already, but this will put him over the top to be like, all right, so he passes, like, the Torrey Holtz and what have you away. Like, he just clearly vaults over those guys to the next level if he gets a ring or gets the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know how they like that. You know how they like to act funny with wide receivers when it comes to the Hall of Fame. So all-time finesse job. So I spent some of my weekend watching the Wu-Tang show that came out on Hulu, and it's really interesting. Apparently, Ghostface and Raekwon were literally trying to kill each other at one point in real life, shooting at each other. Yes,
the dynamic duo of the Wu-Tang Clan, Ghostface and Raekwon,
shooting each other's homes up. Like,
that is, how did they ever hop on wax together? Like,
I have not got to that part yet.
Once you shoot up my crib, we can never, ever, nigga. We can never be on rap tracks together.
So I guess the deal is, like, the RZA, like, connects them. So something happened. I haven't got to the part yet to where it all gets squashed, but there's been some, like, deaths and attempted, drug dealing empires that went bad, and then of course there's RZA like just making all these beats, and then Method Man shows up at one point. I've watched 3 episodes. It's really great so far. They're gonna be releasing them every Wednesday, and it's just like, man, it brings me back to a time like, man, this is like, I love these beats. I love this style, like, so it's gonna be interesting to see, because I don't really know a great deal about the backstory of like the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, you asked me about Jay-Z's life, I can probably figure it out. You asked me about whoever a little bit later, I can figure it out, but I never really did the research on the bios of the Wu-Tang guys and everything like that. But really enjoyed that those first 3 episodes. So yeah, but we got a lot to talk about today. Thanks for sitting through. Yeah, man, I guess we should begin with Chris Jericho. Oh my God! So Chris Jericho, what a week it has been for the Ayatollah Rock and Roller, the man of 1,004 holds, Judas. Whatever you want to name this gentleman by. This man won the AEW championship over Hangman Page. We did a review last week, and immediately it began like a story that captivated the attention of the wrestling internet and everything else. Like, it even spawned a viral phrase. So Jericho's he wins the AEW belt. He has a deal. He's walking through the locker room, cutting a promo on folks, and he turns and just kind of a throwaway comment. He's like, and I'll perhaps celebrate with a little bit of the bubbly, and everyone lost their minds. Instantly a meme was created. Everyone was substituting their favorite songs or, movie clips or old wrestling stuff in it, and it was just a thing that just caught so much fire, and it was just bringing. They instantly churned out a t-shirt for it, which became like the #1 seller in the history of pro wrestling tees or something like that, which is like nuts. And kudos to, Jericho and AEW for moving that fast, realizing there was $1 to be made. So, did you catch a little bit of the bubbly craze, James?
Yeah, I saw on Twitter, I think some of the stuff that they came up with was cute and creative. But as far as it being a catchphrase, I thought the same thing with this catchphrase. When he said it at the time, it was like a quick little witty thing or whatever else, but I didn't think like it was something that was going to be something that just is on my timeline pretty consistently throughout a week. So that kind of is what got me. But it's not like it's not as, I think it's not as great as the other stuff he's done before, but it is like, It is interesting that like a week after he wins the AEW title in a match against Hangman Page, like the most like Hangman Page, like you are back to the mid card you go, or we're pushing you to the mid card where you belong, and like now we're getting Jericho over on his own without Adam Page in the way. Like that's I find that to be interesting.
So the story did not stop there. From there, Jericho, he's a Tampa resident, so he was headed back to Florida, but Florida was dealing with like Hurricane Dorian. Some of the flights were rerouted. Instead, he had to settle for landing in Tallahassee, as I've gathered. So while he was in Tallahassee, as the story goes, he decides to take a trip to the Longhorn Steakhouse, and there was something that happened where someone grabbed the wrong bag. Someone may have left the bag on top of the limo. Either way, when he drove off, the belt was not with him, and the AEW title belt went missing.
No. Oh, okay, so hold on. So the main thing is that he had the belt on him. He had the belt on his carry-on or whatever else. There's some mix-up with a bag that has to do with the limo service he rented this thing with. So they're taking his luggage while he's eating to the airport, taking it back or whatever else. But this is something that may or may not have to do with his actual luggage or not. But he actually had the thing on him, and then like it got lost in the shuffle on while the limo is going from Longhorn back to the hotel or back to the airport. Which is supposed to drop something off and then come back to the Longhorn. It's just like but once you first heard the story when it first comes out, it's like he's in a limo, he's at Longhorn. Then you're thinking like, we have a Longhorn that's up the street from here. I believe it's a chain. I don't know if it's a national chain. The way people make it sound like they're not familiar with the Longhorn, they think it was like some special thing, whatever. It's not. It's like it's cool. So it's just like, wait a second, you took a limo to Longhorn? What the fuck's going on? Like,
I love Longhorn. Apparently, it's this thing that I'm not supposed to love. Apparently,
no, it's not that you're not supposed to love it. It's that like it's not like it's a Ruth Chris or you know what I'm saying. It's not like it's one of those.
Yeah,
it's not like some top notch steakhouse. It's a chain. That's fine, but like it's like if I said to you, all right, well, we're taking a limo to like Outback, like to a notch something that's a notch higher to Outback, you'd be like, really? That's kind of what they did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, wait a second, what's going on here? So apparently it was they found on the side of the road, which I'm still like, okay, sure.
Apparently that's what happened. Like they did an interview with the guy that found it, and shit's weird. Like, flat
Very,
out.
very. Like this man comes up on something that's reportedly worth $30,000.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, here. What?
Here, and got $200 for it.
Right. And the thing for me is like, I ain't believing this shit. Like, I will go to my grave believing that this person came up on a lick, heard word was out, people were looking for what he found, and was like, well, let me turn this in before they fuck around and rope me up.
Yeah.
Like that's doesn't that seem, to me, I guess the cynic in me is what it is, but like that seems more reasonable to me than like, oh yeah, I found this championship belt, I'm gonna hold on to it. Either you find value in it or you don't. And if you're not a wrestling fan, which most people aren't, you just like, okay, trash it, or actually you just leave it on the ground because why would you pick up a piece of crap?
So Jericho immediately spins this into action. So you know there were actual real police reports that were filed. So no, this was not like a storyline originally, but from the social media.
Wait, are you saying that all cop reports are legitimate?
Ones that people file, not ones police file. Like if someone reports something, that would be against the law. Like if they were making it up. So immediately, like I think Jericho sensed the moment. All the jokes were being had. We were all sharing a good laugh at the title belt being stolen. But Jericho, the genius that he is, decides to get himself over for the zillionth time in his career by acting absurd. So this man cuts a promo. He's in the jacuzzi with the scarf in the tub. He has the bubbly with him.
Hat on, shades on, so people like they see that and they see the way he's behaving, and then you don't hear the story about like the limo driver's the one that lost the fucking thing, not Jericho, and people are just assuming like, okay, like this dude clearly is having a problem with alcoholism again, and so people started just recklessly speculating, and you know a lot of it can't happen to be from people that are also like WWE apologists. So it's like that's interesting. Like that's exactly what that's the first thing y'all jump to is like, oh yeah, this dude's clearly like having an issue. And like, look, he may very well be. I don't know him. I mean, but like from what I saw, maybe I'm untrained to, you know, that sort of thing, but like I didn't see any like red flags or anything that made me believe like that was the case. But people jump to it and then they find out, oh yeah, the limo driver dropped it. But like like Jericho has been asking for his thank you. I don't see anybody rushing to give out their apology after they said that shit. Yeah.
Back more on a lighter note, he starts cutting a promo, says he's going to put together like a task force, the special investigators to find the belt and just absurd shit. And he's pouring the bubbly into the glass, but instead still drinking from the bottle, like foolishness. Then he cut another one in his house where his face looks kind of red, so he was probably like outside for a while and caught some sun rays.
Yes, a Canadian in Florida sun out there baking turned red, and people also
and I
from
think
that
this is
day
when it kind of turned up, like on that. Oh, this man's an alcoholic, and he looks pink. Yeah. Something's wrong with him. Like,
yeah, and the thing for me is like, I have heard of Asian flush where for some reason genetically whatever else, where like if Asians drink a certain amount of alcohol or whatever else, like their face will like get flushed with blood and red, almost like they're blushing. I've never heard about it with white people. I was unaware. So when they're saying like he's red, so clearly that means there's something going on. I'm like, I was unaware of this, and it turned out like, you know, or you like I was unaware of this, or it could just be Canadian and baking in the sun. You saw him just yesterday in the sun. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one seems more reasonable?
So Jericho again, you know, this is when he gets the belt back. So he has the belt with him. The cops end up finding it. They return the belt. Of course, there was this thing where the cops actually posted the belt, posing with it and whatnot, which was like absurd. And someone told the cops to take that down or whatever, so they can start like working this like thing. But Jericho's like, he got the belt back and everything like that, and he's just like talking, and it's just fucking great. Like, and of course the bubbly phrase is all catching off. This is nothing but great attention for like Chris Jericho and by proxy the AEW belt, and it's kind of a cool thing that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yes. I believe in the one where he got the belt back, when he celebrated getting his belt back. I believe he said something along the lines of, "See, like the reason why this belt was found so fast because I put the fear of God in the world," or something like that. I was like, this dude is a fucking clown.
It will catch the Judas effect. Oh man, but yeah, Chris Jericho leaving no doubt on why he should have been the AEW champion. Like when I saw that video with him getting the belt back, I was like, all right, man, he got to hold it a year now. Just run it 365, and
I'm not there with you on that, but it is funny to say.
Yeah, So next thing. Transitioning, so we'll be back with AEW later on in the show, but we got some WWE to talk about. Lots of stuff happened, or is kind of in the process of happening this week, but major news, Bayley turned heel. James, noted Bayley fan on this show. They turned Bayley heel.
Yeah.
What the whole... is this just another admission of them blowing it with someone?
It's always somebody is doing something and they have to freshen up the character because the character didn't get over, because like you look at what the character was at one place or namely NXT or whatever else, and then like they never like try to recapture the magic. They always have to like vince it, and like it always loses whatever like sheen it had. So yeah, that's par for the course. And she's been on the main roster since what? I want to say the end of the middle of
2016,
2016, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So she had been babyface for a while. If you consider like obviously you throw in the fact that like she's one of the all-time great babyfaces in major North American professional wrestling of the last decade. Like you have that to account for, but like if you just count for like, all right, like Vince never saw none of that. Like so if it's she's only been at a certain level.
She's literally been on ice She's literally been on ice since the spring of 2017. Like she's essentially been a dead character walking.
Yeah. So like if you're Vince and you never saw none of the stuff in NXT or whatever else, and you're just like, all right, well, like she's been a babyface on the roster for like 4 years roughly. Like it's time to turn her, and that's where we are. Like I love Bayley to death, but let's see what she does with it. Make the best of it. If it keeps her, it keeps her, kind of in position to where she can have, programs and matches of a high caliber, then I guess that's the best way you can measure success. If like it keeps Vince interested enough to keep her like actually use her, then like I guess that's a win, as opposed to like picking Lacey Evans off the floor again, even though like she just got she beat Natty on Monday.
So like with Bayley turning, it's just like, well, it's always an issue. It's never like, hey, we're just gonna switch this person because we think it would be a good move or something like that. It's always this thing of like, yo, we fucked this all the way up, and this is the only way we can, fix someone, unless it's like AJ Styles or something, right?
Yeah, like recently anyway. Yeah, that's kind of been the thing. It's never like, all right, well, there's never the Bret Hart turn heel situation where like Vince shows a paper all the potential baby faces and matchup he has, and all the heels on the other side, and says, all right, if you go heel, you can fight person X, Y, and Z. If you go Y, you can face a less impressive. If you stay face, you can face a less impressive list. Like it's never that, as opposed to like long term. It's always like, let's just do this for the programming that we have them in for right now, which will last for how long, and then like after that, like who the fuck knows? Because I'm just doing it by the seat of my pants every single week anyway. Yeah. I agree.
And I'm just looking at it, and then she's immediately realigned with Sasha, and it's just like. With all the fans, I actually did want to mention this. A lot of people were happy when this happened. Like people were cheering. People were like, finally, so people were receptive to this in a way that, when they tried to turn Becky last year, people wasn't having that shit. Like,
okay, so my question for you is this, right? Is the cheering, is is it cheering like with Becky when it was like, okay, she's out here like beating up on Charlotte who never gathers sympathy at all, or is it this person is kind of treading water / stuck in mud, and this is the jolt, and I also got to be here to witness it.
I think it's some of that.
I think it's mostly that. And like, I mean, Bayley and Sasha together as heels is interesting. My thing is, not necessarily what the end game is, because they don't even know what the fucking end game is. We know they don't know what the end game is. But what are they going to do? What are they going to do on the road after this? Because like you already see where they're headed for this. Like they're turning Charlotte babyface. That's never a good idea.
Never. No history of success with Charlotte as a babyface. Like it just doesn't work.
Like Charlotte's best success as a babyface ever is like her versus Asuka after Asuka won the Royal Rumble. That's it. Everything else has been like people, you know, she's OP or she's either OP or like the situation happened with the Iconics jumped her and then Carmella cashes in and like it was supposed to lead to some chase for Charlotte.
But it didn't. She just kind of like left and went away and was, you know, she had some, you know, she was off some personal time.
Yeah, to be fair, some of that stuff with that not working out was on injury and not actually WWE's bad booking. So like we can't blame everything for that, but like they like when that happened, while that was happening, like the Becky thing popped up and it was like, and everyone thought like somebody's going to turn on the other. Like this is great. Charlotte's going to turn on Becky, and then Becky's going to be a big baby face that chased down the evil Charlotte who just won, who just double crossed another friend, that chose another title over a friendship. Instead, she still chose the title over her friendship, and they would still want to be friends. And then like they said wanted to turn Becky heel, even though like they were headed towards Charlotte versus Ronda at WrestleMania, which would have meant Charlotte need to be a heel anyway to make it work. So it's like they just fought their fans throughout that whole entire situation. But anyway, back to the Becky thing. I'm sorry, the Bayley thing. I mean, they're going to do a tag match, right, between the four horsewomen. Was that this week?
Yeah,
coming. Right?
Would have been a nice, main event for Evolution 2 or something like that. But apparently that's not happening. So, this is. I don't think this has ever happened before on the main roster, like a tag team match between the four horsewomen.
Not to my knowledge, and I would remember something like that.
I don't know. The idea of like Bayley, like, you know, her whole thing was like Becky's not going to outshine me, and then immediately she's linked with Sasha. It's like, I almost would have been more interested in Bayley on her own, like as a heel.
I don't know if her promos are strong enough for that to work. Like, I mean, obviously, you look at what Sasha's talking segment with Becky, interacting with Becky on Monday was, and it was better than pretty much for most of the stuff she's done for her time on the main roster as babyface. But we also have seen Sasha as a top-notch talker as a heel on NXT before. So Bayley has always been, you know, not a good promo person. She's been able to hold in the road, especially before, but not like she's not no John Cena, right? So as a heel, maybe she gets more comfortable by saying mean, nasty things and get easy, cheap heat or whatever else. But who knows? Like, I mean, 'cause obviously it's harder to make people like you than dislike you.
And I think people want more of the real person behind Bayley right now. I think she would be,
whatever that is. Do you know what that is?
I mean, it's obviously not a large adult cartoon hugger person. So like I think people want a more authentic personality like from her. I think like that would be the best way to kind of like, you know, like, hey, Sasha's whole thing is like, hey, I'm doing this for the money and all this stuff now. I need to know Bayley's motivation for like being a heel essentially now. So the way she sort of has explained it so far is that like I'm not being a heel, or I'm delusional in that I'm a baby face that thinks. Sorry. Oh, that dumb shit.
Yeah, she is. I am delusional in thinking that I haven't changed and all I'm doing is being loyal to Sasha. That's really what they've said is for. So there's still rope there in that, like, there's still some rope in, like, Sasha betrays her and you get sympathy on her and she treats her really bad and then, like, or whatever else. Like, I mean, they've done so much bullshit with Sasha and Bayley, especially like 18 months ago, that I'm just like, whatever. Or sorry, a year ago, I'm just like, whatever. Like,
I think I would be more interested if they were apart, but we did mention there is a tag team match between the Four Horsewomen. It is part of WWE returning to Madison Square Garden for Raw and SmackDown on back-to-back nights. They're calling in The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're loading the shows up. I believe there's a Cedric Alexander AJ Styles match set for Monday. There's the King of the Ring finals or semifinals on both shows. So I think, and also Rey Mysterio versus Grand Metalik on Monday, which should be pretty interesting. I mean, it would be nice. It's nice to see Grand Metalik pulled out the mothballs because, don't matter what company he's in, CMLL, New Japan, WWE, somehow one of the best wrestlers in the world has trouble getting booked or used or, pushed. So, yeah, man. Like I know neither show like sold out. I think there's a combination of WWE not being the strongest product this year, as well as those ticket prices, which have been said to be really high. SmackDown's not close. Raw's doing better. But with Austin's not selling you out. Like.
But, I mean, what is Austin supposed to do? What's Austin going to do besides? And also, we just saw him like less than 2 months ago.
That's where I was going with this. So, like,
okay,
they keep bringing these people back within shorter and shorter amounts of time, and not really using them in anything meaningful. We don't know what the Undertaker is going to be set to do, but he's not on the next pay-per-view, so. I don't know what the deal is there. Austin, he's moderating a contract signing. How exciting is that, really? And he was just here for Raw Reunion, aka, remember how good I treat y'all from Vince. Don't y'all dare take none of Tony Khan's money for any reason. But I think these are proving ground shows here because WWE says Madison Square Garden is their building, it's their home turf. So I think they're gonna be trying to send a message this week. Would you agree?
I mean, I don't know. Who are they sending? I mean, they're the standard they're the standard operation in the industry. So it's like, who are you trying to prove that you still got it to besides yourself? And like, if that's what you need to do to try to reassess where you are as a company, fine. Like, it's always good to have some type of, self-evaluation, that sort of thing, or internal scouting, all that sort of thing. But like, as far as we're going to show you by going out there and doing some things that are probably going to be interesting, some things that are probably going to be flat, some things that are probably not going to make sense. Like, nah, like that's not going to do it for me. I mean, but that's not necessarily what they're going for. It's all about what Vince wants, and that's fine. But like, if he's running into the ground like he has the last 2 years, then that should speak for itself. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
are you planning to watch these shows?
I was not planning to watch the show until the fucking tag match. And so once they put on the Horsewoman tag match, I was like, fine, you got me, Vince. I'll watch your fucking TV. So yeah, like, and I'll write up show notes, and if it's not good, it's not good. Like, and if it's good, it's good. I give it its due. Like, I'll write up the notes just like I normally do whenever I watch a show.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that match. So at some point I would have to kind of probably avoid, like, because if I hear it went horribly wrong, I'm not gonna go watch it. But so I'm like, man, do I watch it in real time? Do I really take do I bite the bullet and put WWE Raw on? I'm trying to figure this out within myself.
I mean, I mean, to be honestly, with WWE right now, like for Raw anyway, like Raw's biggest problem is that it's still 3 hours. Like it's not like the quality of the show. It's a good enough show. It's just it's 3 hours, and it's like, nah, I'm not sitting through 3 hours.
Bro,
I'll hear about whatever's on the show, and I'll hear something good about it. And there's a lot of good so far right now recently, but it's just like I'm not sitting through 3 hours with commercials. So I will download whatever else that I'm interested in watching, and that'll be that.
Yeah, once I got off that narcotic, like of watching Monday Night Raw and giving it up all summer, I find it really hard to find myself to sit through a 3-hour show unless it's like a pay-per-view or a big show.
The only shit I'm sitting through for 3 hours is like Avengers Endgame. I'm not seeing or a pay-per-view. That's it. Send me 3 hours to watch, like Daniel Bryan getting his ass whipped by his goon that he was covering for, even though he thought I'm not sitting through that for 3 hours. Like luckily SmackDown is 2 hours, but like if that was on Raw, no, not happening, not doing it.
Yeah. So a show, we were talking about the length of shows, and of course, NXT is moving over to the USA Network to go head to head with whatever AEW is going to call their show. But the first 2 weeks of
what are we looking at the name on that show?
I would think it would have been out by now, but I would expect the news to break I would think this week.
Like, bro, we're like
they're under
4
a
weeks
month
out, right?
Yeah, we're under a month away. So
what the fuck are they doing?
Maybe they're trying to get copyrights, landed on it or something. I don't know, but
these are copyrights, not visas. This should be happening faster.
Yeah. So NXT, of course, is trying to get the jump on them, and they're going to the USA Network on September 18th. Of course, they've got some things in mind for the shows as far as like matches and a couple of things and that are left over from the last tapings. So there are going to be live shows, but some news came out, which is really weird. For those 2 weeks, the USA Network will only be showing the first hour live, and then people will have to take their asses over to the WWE Network for the second hour. This sounds so inconvenient.
They bogus right now. They're really bogus right now.
Why? It's like just wait till October 2nd and do it with your chest. We know what you're doing.
Well, the thing is, I don't know what the malfunction is on this, or the failure on this is on the side of WWE or USA Network, because obviously USA Network had to okay the start date, and when they okay the start date, they also had to realize that our most successful show that's not WWE is running in that time slot specifically, so now you don't get that second hour. Clearly this was all thrown together so fast between the negotiations between FS1 and their issues with blocking out some of those dates for Big East basketball, and then this all hastily done, and USA they love them some McMahon television, so of course they said yes, and they loved it so much, they're like, oh my god, we forgot that our second biggest show actually has to be wrapped up first. So
this is just more proof of, if you ever see anyone log onto the internet and say this was the natural progression for NXT and this was all planned out and they're not doing this for any other reason but themselves, they are lying to you or being disingenuous.
The thing is, it's not like NXT wasn't there. It's not like they haven't put NXT on USA before. It actually pulled in 900,000 viewers, or close to, or almost somewhere between 900 and a million viewers before, on a Christmas thing before. So clearly this is something they've thought about before, but it was just how they rolled out NXT UK. What was the shit they were doing? Yeah, the World of Sports. World of Sports come out, let's do something to get into the market to compete, because we want every single dollar, right? And once there was a need to counter program or compete, that's when the stakes raised. It was something they were actually that crazy about doing just yet. Even though
They had months and months and months of footage.
They had a year, Rich.
Yeah.
They didn't have months. They had a year. Like that Fox deal was signed what, like 12, 14 months ago?
Yeah.
15 months ago?
Yeah.
Like, so people were talking to them, or people were talking about it on the, Meltzer and whoever else were talking about that stuff for months. Like, I remember doing one of the conference calls. Triple H does the NXT TakeOver conference call, typically the Wednesday before or Thursday before going into that Saturday for TakeOver. And somebody actually asked him about that. He was like, nah, it's something we never really discussed yet. Now, obviously, Triple H could have been bullshitting you, but put out a public statement of, nah, that's something we've never really have even gotten into real talks about yet. And then now all of a sudden, it's slapdash. Here it is, 2 weeks in front of after this show announced months before then. It was like, okay, sure. Sure, that was always the plan to drop September, even though all of the season stuff more or less is starting in October, like everything else is. Yeah. Right? Starting in September. Right.
Incredible. Sure. Absolutely incredible. But
shouldn't even match it with fall lineups in the way they used to. Like this was 5 years ago, whatever else, when you used to have a fall through summer TV schedule that runs similar to a school year, like a public school year.
This would be the first week coming up.
Generally speaking, or probably a couple weeks later, but now it's just changed. Now everything because of Netflix and everything else, shorter seasons. So there's now that's different now. And then reality TV doing shorter episode spans, all that stuff, that's different now. So it was October. We know it was October. You put it in September, something was up. Yeah. You look bogus right now.
And
look, for the record, if I was running WWE, I'd do the exact same fucking thing. Actually, if I was WWE, this wouldn't happen because I would already got my show on TV. I would have gotten that bag from FS1 or whatever else to get NXT on TV by now. So it is what it is.
Yeah. It's really funny. Moving on. So AEW announced their next pay-per-view. Tickets went on sale. I do not believe it's all the way sold out yet, but it looked on pace to sell out already. The AEW Full Gear pay-per-view, it looks like it's going to be in Baltimore, Maryland. They got 3 big matches booked, and I presume a 4th will be the Tag Team Championship final. You'll probably get a women's title defense there as well. Main event for the AEW Championship will be Jericho and Cody. Of course, we'll have Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley in the match that got pulled off of All Out. And then Pac versus Paige looked to be the 3 matches there. So right off rip, I'm liking all 3 of those matches on paper. And I think this is probably going to be another good show to look out for. There was, some, stuff that sprung up. Of course, people were upset that and when I say people that are upset, you guys will know exactly who I'm referring to. With Jericho and Cody being announced, quote unquote, without a story, without, doing it in quote unquote undercutting their TV. And of course, Jericho, will actually be defending the title before this. Will be defending the title on the 3rd show. So we don't know who's getting that shot yet. Did you catch any of this stuff? And what do you think about the card so far, James?
So
I mean, I feel like anyone with a brain would have figured out Cody was getting the next shot, but apparently not.
I mean, if you have a top 5, you can't, the only other person they could have possibly made, to be the first challenger would have been Moxley. But I wouldn't have done that because, you just had the thing right there. So, yeah, you still have Moxley versus Omega right there to do. And honestly, if you ask me, I would main event Moxley versus Omega instead of Jericho versus Cody because we know which one's going to be the better match, and we know which one is actually more over as a matchup. So it is what it is with them. As far as people that hated the Cody thing, it's Cody. You watch these shows, Cody's the most over person on these shows, and if he's not, he's either top 2 or top 3 every show he's on as far as being over. Look, people in that crowd love that fucking nonsensical match that he just did on last Sunday or last Saturday. I didn't dig it, but they loved it. And look, that's part of the thing. People are showing up. People are showing up to go see Cody. So Like, he's one of the top guys.
And
Top
people have
guys
problem
get
with
title
this.
shots.
Yeah, and I think, people have problems with this, like, as far as, he's an EVP and all this dumb shit, like, he's Jeff Jarrett, he's, all this other shit, but he's trying to put the belt on himself. It's like, honestly, the promotion is called AEW, right?
And it stands for All Elite Wrestling. Isn't Cody Elite?
That's where I was going with this. So the E stands for elite. If it wasn't for the elites, this promotion probably wouldn't exist. Like, if you don't have the Young Bucks, Kenny, Cody, and all these guys, it's like, there is no AEW. Who do you expect them to be putting on top? Are you doing Chris Jericho versus Frankie Kazarian at the next pay-per-view? Are you doing Chris Jericho versus the Jungle Boy already?
Hey man, that you rude, bro. Shout out to Frankie K, bro. Shout out to Kazarian.
Are you doing Chris Jericho versus Jimmy Havoc next month because he won the Cracker Barrel Clash? No, you're not doing that. You imbeciles.
So basically what you just did is you did two things. Like, you just shouted on idiots, and also you found a way to get the Antonio Brown Mayock thing in by throwing a Cracker Barrel. Good job. That's some next level. Boy, you are a damn devil.
Diabolic. But like, what do people expect? Like, do these people not expect? Like, do they know how big of stars these guys made themselves? Like, they made themselves crossover stars without national television, without any type of whatever. Like we've never seen an entity like the Elite outside of WWE that is not in a major promotion like that in America.
Right. That
were moving tickets, crossing over and getting in Hot Topic. They had all this shit going. Like,
yeah, my thing is this, right?
And they're supposed to turn around and push someone else?
My thing is this, right? If you get beyond the All Elite thing, it's like, who are your top guys in the company? Who are your most over people?
Right.
One of them is Cody. Okay, so then he can get a title shot. Oh, and also, like, he's undefeated in, like, we're so far, there are only a few people that are undefeated in singles matches. He's one of them. So this person's undefeated. This person's super over. This person more or less is the heart of the heart of the company as far as of the promotion so far, as far as the emotional attachment to the product.
And he's speech man for the company.
Right. It's like look. I understand he's also an EVP or whatever else. I get that. Like, I understand the politics at play and all that sort of thing. But, like, he's the most over guy right now, and, like, it is what it is. And also, like, no one's saying he's going to win the title, and even if he did, who gives a shit? Like, he's one of the most over guys in the company. Like, we talk about this with any other company. Will you like them to go the Ring of Honor route, where it's okay, you have the most over guys in the company and you don't push them? Jeff Cobb loses 7 minutes to Matt Taven. Bandito loses the U.S. I'm sorry, not U.S. The TV title to Shane Taylor. That's what you want to do? Oh, Flip Gordon, we'll make you the second in command to Villain Enterprises. Marty, you're the most over guy in the company for, like, ever since everybody else left. All right, here, how about this for you? You'll never win the title, and then we'll make a stable for you, and then we'll give you these trio titles that mean fucking nothing except for the fact that you have them. Like, you want to do what Ring of Honor's doing? Because I can tell you right now, that ain't the way.
We'll get to that later, but
you quote T.I., that is not the Harris way.
Yes. Just some of the talk is just. And I believe it was Joe Lanza or it may have been Joe or Rich, said AEW is the most hyper, like everything about it is analyzed, and like literally, like, people are going to the lighting on the shows to how it's shot, like it's insane, right?
Well, to be fair, like, as far as the way it's shot, I mean, are you talking about, like, camera direction? Or are you talking about the way it's shot?
I don't know, just general.
Because look, their camera direction stinks, and their cameramen, they also miss, like, every third fucking dive too. So, like, I mean, I have critiques as well. And I mean, you look at the show you did with Chad last week. There are plenty of legitimate critiques to be had about AEW, but, like, they're doing more things right than wrong. So, like,
people use your common sense.
I'm saying, like, look, this isn't WWE where they burn you a bunch. It's just like, these are butthurt WWE fans that are upset about being picked on, and they identify with WWE, and that's fine. Like, look, I love WWE too. I wish they were better. That's all I hope for. I hope that they do better, and I do appreciate the fact that they have done better than what they were doing. Like, let's say when Jinder was champion, or like the end of last year. And we talk about that all the time, but it's like, it's okay to like be able to get outside of your fucking feelings and be like, all right, like let's look at some things and think about like, what are they doing well? What are they not doing well? What could they do better? And like, you can do that all with AEW, like you do that with WWE if you want to. But if you want to keep score like that, AEW is doing better than WWE so far right now. It's fine. Like, they don't have the history of all the biases of them doing Vince doing all the fuck shit over decades. They have a fresh slate. Like, it's a little easier for them right now. Like, now once time gets on them and they're on TV, then we'll start seeing, like, that's when the rubber meets the road. That's when we'll see if they'll actually like build a real live women's division. Like, if they'll make sense of the librarian shit, or they just drop it or whatever else, or however they handle like someone like Luchasaurus or whatever. We'll see.
Right. One thing I would like in AEW is a trios division with a belt. I ran a Twitter poll over the weekend, got over 100 votes on it, so thank you guys for voting. What belt would people rather? A trios belt or a TV belt? So the TV belt got the win, 59% to 41%. And I am here to tell all of you 59% why you are categorically wrong, and we should be moving towards the trios championships in AEW.
Okay, state your case.
So, in America, and around the world for, that matter, there's only one place that has, a history of, like, solid trio stuff, right? And that's in Mexico. Mm-hmm. You look at New Japan, they're never 6-man open weight belts. Like, they might as well like lose them belts like Chris Jericho did. Like, just leave them in the middle of Roppongi and do whatever. For AEW, I'm looking at is how can they be different? How can they do something WWE is not doing? How can they do something New Japan's not doing well? That would be build a real live important trios division. They already have the people in place, and I kind of mentioned this on Twitter. There's a lot of different alliances that have been formed that are like hinting at it's right under our nose. It's sitting there the second they want to do it. Right. They had Orange Cassidy hook up with the Best Friends. They had SCU. They have Jurassic Express. They have the Elite. They have Jericho teaming up with two people we don't know who they are yet. Santana and Ortiz just came in. You can easily link them with someone. And you've got other various heels on the thing. You can put Pac with Santana or Ortiz or something like that. Of course, you got OWE hanging around.
Right, the Strong Hearts. Yeah.
Right, Strong Hearts, and then you can give Spears or Darby Allin, somebody like that, different things, and make that like you can get more people on the show. You can protect singles matches. You can do a real thing that's unique to North America. And for me, a TV title would just be like an idea that's already been seen. It's inherently less important than the world title match, rather than being different. Like, and that's what I think the main draw of the trios division would be. It would be it's different than the tag team division. It's different than the world title division, and you can fit a lot of people in it, especially if you're looking at these AEW pay-per-views, to where they've got a lot of talent, but they're not going to be able to get everyone on every card, especially every 4 months. So putting 6 guys there and actually, doing something with a 6-man thing that's really important and treat it that way. And if it's one thing that AEW's done already, it's like, all right, like the stuff they want to be important usually is, aside from like Adam Page, like in his build-up, but like they present it well. They make you feel like, hey, this is a big deal. This is, right. Whatever.
Right.
I think the trios division would just be very unique, and then you can always, put guys there and save matchups that you actually want to draw with.
Okay, so. I don't really have if you ask me what I prefer that they do neither, honestly. But I'm afraid that if they do a trios belt, it's only a matter of time before they like cave in and do a mid-card belt anyway. So it's like, all right, so they're gonna have they're going to end up fucking around and having too many belts, just like everybody else in the world has too many damn belts. And I'd rather them not do that. So for me, like the faction warfare stuff with the stable warfare, whatever else, but like in basically having like their own versions of Shield matches, like that'd be cool, and have title stakes amongst it with all the people you mentioned, with Bray or with Strong Hearts and SCU and the Elite. That'd be awesome. But like I watch trios wrestling like every single week on Stardom, and like it's good, but I'm afraid that like they're going to only have so many factions that to where it's like it's not actual division, it's just faction warfare. And if it's just faction warfare, then why do you need a belt to begin with? As opposed to there's going to be so many like MJFs, Adam Pages, Jungle Boys, Darby Allins, Janellas, Havocs that like, I don't know, maybe like you showcase somebody and like turn it into your legitimate like workhorse belt, and like that person's went out there and killed it for a month, and after they lose, they move up to the main, or they move up into being a contender for the title after that. Like,
so are you talking about more world title matches on TV possibly? Because like, you know,
no. I mean, like if you do like if they turn the U.S. belt into if they were in theory to use the U.S. belt as their mid-card belt as opposed to they're gonna have a U.S. belt or some intercontinental belt or whatever,
belt.
Like they use it as their actual secondary belt. That could be in theory what like we all as kids grew up thinking in the 90s about like what the intercontinental belt was. Were like you were a workhorse, you went out there and like you kind of proved that you were worthy of moving up the ladder into the main event scene or the championship title picture. Like that could be a thing, and have merit to it because that dude went out there every single television show and busted their ass. As opposed to, and I feel like that might be able to be a better way to spotlight and highlight somebody's growth as a star, as opposed to like we're just gonna have we're gonna have like the most loaded tag division maybe ever on TV, and then we're also like gonna like sometimes shuffle them off and put them in three ways. And it's like most of those will be about like the feud more than the belt anyway. So it's like I'm confused. I'm weird on the draw. Like maybe there's I'm sure there's a different way to do it than how like let's say Stardom does or whatever. But that's my only real familiarity with the trio titles, aside of like Best in the World 2018 with Flip Gordon, like with that shit they did at Ring of Honor. So like that's kind of I'm kind of not really in love with trios. Like I think it's cool as but I'm not really thinking that's something that like I can will be something that's as creative or as useful or much of a benefit. I mean, it's something to do, but I mean, what it is what it is. Like they can go either, but like if you ask me, like one, the other, or none, I'd probably go with none.
Well, that's no fun.
You're right. That is no fun, but it's like I just don't want to be too many titles. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. Like if you have a roster and you keep like dividing it up and having them separate more, that's like it gives you as a booker or bookers because they're the EVPs, like that just leaves you with like less variety of things to choose from on how to build people or options.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's go.
No fun.
Yeah, no fun. No fun, James Boy. The Sam Mushnick, influence.
Everyone's
stone faced.
That's fair. I do tend to think quite, conservatively when it comes to like don't fuck it up. Like all I'm saying is like don't fuck it up. That's all I'm just booking to not fuck it up. That's all I'm doing.
So we've got another topic, but it actually kind of goes with one of the questions, so we'll work that in, and I'm sure you guys are listening to the show. You guys know, if you follow me on Twitter, what happened this week, so we will be talking about Mr. Bully Ray a little bit later. So first question comes from Ricky, though, from the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. What's up, Ricky? And Ricky has been badgering James for the I guess something happened with you guys' fantasy draft and Matt Ryan. What happened there?
Okay, so no one cares about other people's fantasy teams, so I'll make it real quick. We were in a $200 fantasy football league. There were 16 players per each team. So I spent my money on running backs and receivers like you probably should or whatever else. So I ended up acquiring Saquon Barkley. I also acquired Ezekiel Elliott. So like by me spending basically $100 on both of them, I was like left cash strapped. So I was like, or cash strapped. So I waited on quarterbacks. You know, like quarterbacks, unless they can run now these days, like they're not that valuable. So like people that go first are now are like Deshaun Watsons and Cam Newtons and Mahomes or whatever. And then like you have, like, you know, pocket passers are probably going to MVP anyway, like Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Brady. Those guys kind of still, those guys are like the second tier guys now, third tier guys. So I ended up in a situation where like I could have I spent my money because I'm trying to compete, obviously, and Matt Ryan was still available for $1. So it was my time to bid for to send, you know, the auction or send a player up for auction. I had like $3 left at that time. I'll spend $1 on Matt Ryan. The timer goes all the way down. And then all of a sudden, last second, it got to like 1 or 2 seconds, and all of a sudden he put in $2 and I had no more money. So I was
furious.
On quarterback. Yeah.
So
or the other was, or it was something like he spent $3. I think there's $3 and I had like a couple bucks left. So basically, outbid me when I had very little money, and he ended up getting Matt Ryan. So I was like, "You asshole!" Like, and he already had a quarterback. He already had a starting quarterback. He has to pick up a backup. I was like, "You asshole!" Like, all right, you got me. So then he started talking about like, you know, I'll trade you. So he started doing the Richard Lotto where they do absurd trades. So he offered me a post trade of Matt Ryan for Saquon Barkley, and then I promptly told him to go fuck himself.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's the story.
So
and then Matt Ryan went out there and was fucking trash this week. So who really won? And I ended up settling for Tom Brady for $1 instead.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady is about to go get Antonio Brown, who's also on my team. So who really won? You tell me who really won. And I got Gronk for $1. In case Gronk wants to unretire for your boy come playoff time.
Yeah, man. So Ricky asks, do you expect Tony Storm to be on NXT America full time come September 18th?
Come September. I imagine. I obviously see her doing that eventually because the word is right now is that NXT UKers, they have to go to NXT first before they can move to the main roster. It can't just be Pete Dunne, like you were the most consistent performer in WWE the last 18 months. Just go to the main roster. You gotta, you know, transition. So, you know, if that's the case and she just lost the belt to Kaylee Ray, there's really not much more for her to do right now. I mean, and then you look at what the women's division is in NXT, like they have an overabundance of heels. They can use a babyface to come in, an extra babyface to come in and help out with trying to even the load up and also freshen up the matchups because like Bianca's not really doing anything. Like she has a number one contenders match for I think the first episode of NXT on USA, but outside of that, she's kind of been not really doing anything since they used her to put over Mia to get her ready for TakeOver Toronto 2.
What I think is going to end up happening is, you know, they're going to crown that number one contender on the 18th, do the title match the October 2nd, and then I think Shayna retains, and then Tony Storm will debut by walking out after on the October 2nd show in NXT. So, about time. She probably should be on the main roster being a star, but whatever.
Probably. Probably? Man. Look, I mean, I don't know what the situation is, but like look, they brought up Lacey Evans and put her in the title and immediately put her in the title picture. Like, sorry, like Lacey Evans, like I'm not writing her off as far as saying she's worthless because she obviously brings like a physicality and a look to the table, and like she's not afraid. Like her physicality is something that like translates, but she's green as grass, and she ain't ready yet. Like Toni Storm is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Like she's proved it over running through Stardom. She's proved it. It's like she's proved it in Progress and everywhere else. Like she's proved it in 2 Mae Young Classics. Like now would be the fucking time, just like it would have been a year ago, or even before then. Like,
yeah. So next question comes from Guy Elijah Simmons. What's up, Guy? He says, should Austin or The Undertaker put Wyatt over on Monday or Tuesday? So every time Bray Wyatt has been appearing, he's been beating on a legend. He's beat up Mick Foley, beat up Jerry Lawler. So out of Austin and Taker, who should it be?
Okay, so I would say if I had to pick somebody, I say he goes out and takes out Undertaker. And then you set towards a match again. A match at, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. And then they have a match, and then Bray beats him and retires him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he goes away for a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think, like, for me, I don't need to see The Undertaker WrestleMania anymore, but
I'm saying if I had to choose one, like
do it at the Royal Rumble. I don't
Austin's gonna show up and then get choked out for the Bray Wyatt of all people. Fuck no.
Yeah.
That man left because he didn't want to put over Brock Lesnar for no reason. He's going to put over Bray Wyatt.
So I think Bray Wyatt's going to end up getting the Universal title because he's getting that title match at Hell in a Cell. If you want to go ahead and really get him hot, I think you do it to Austin. I think the Fiend thing, people are really into it. It seems like it's way hotter than Seth Rollins. I'm putting the Universal title on Bray Wyatt. I mean, it's not like he's like just some foreign guy like that is like, and by foreign I mean like he's not a guy with like no type of history like of being someone in the company, right? It's not like they're strapping up like Jinder Mahal in 5 weeks or something.
Right. It's a former WWE champion.
Yeah. You can immediately flip that title to Wyatt and make it interesting with the Fiend and the red belt with the aesthetic and all that. Put it on him. And just, I think it's interesting. I think it's, I think Wyatt's like he looked really good at SummerSlam. People lost their shit, and that doesn't need to be seen every week leading up to it. You can wait. You can have him do what he does to either Austin or The Undertaker, and then say, "I'm waiting for the winner at Hell in a Cell." And yeah, I think that's the direction. My pick would be Austin. So all you got to do is take a mandible claw. So it ain't like he got to take a bump or nothing. So next question. Dan, he says, how would you fix Ring of Honor? I'm glad you asked, Dan.
Jesus.
First, I would close the doors. That was
You dumb as hell.
So, Ring of Honor. Funny story. So on Twitter this week, it was, I woke up in the morning and I was, scrolling through the wrestling timeline and just thinking about it. And I saw something about Ring of Honor just like struggling for tickets, which I ended up seeing on Saturday night. It looked bad, y'all. And I was like, man, why doesn't anyone ever call into Busted Open Radio and ask Bully Ray why he ran ROH into the ground? Why do I do it like that? I just tweeted a question out to my followers, and I'm not gonna at Bully Ray because that seems kind of early to harass someone with some type of question like that. That's kind of a heavy question. That if you were to at someone, I don't think that's a nice way to begin someone's day. But Mr. Bully Ray shows up and replies by vanity searching himself, and he tells me, I'm looking for the exact tweet right now. I don't want to get his words mixed up here. So I basically asked why no one calls in for him. He asks, hold on,
he didn't delete it, did he?
He might have deleted it.
Really?
He might have deleted it.
No way.
Anyway, I think I've got screenshots anyway, so I can find it really quick. Okay, no, I got it. He says, then why don't you call in and ask? He did delete it, though. I happened to get it. He said, why don't you call in and ask? And then I can tell you to stop reading dirt sheets because they are rotting your brain. Coward. So.
Can I, or do you want to go?
You can start first, and now I'll let people know what I did here.
Okay, so you want me to call in so you can yell at me or whatever you want to do, or run or basically clown on me while you have you can hang up on me, you can cut out my mic, you can do whatever you want to. That's one, right? He thinks that because he's a worker, no one else thinks it thinks beyond one level. Okay, so that's one. Two, let's say you didn't read dirt sheets. Let's say you didn't read dirt sheets. Let's say you were someone that attended a Ring of Honor show in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
that was split between. That was called the G1 Supercard. That was split between Ring of Honor and New Japan, and everything New Japan did was great, or at the very least, very good. And everything Ring of Honor did, aside from some of their wrestlers wrestling in the cruiserweight match, was fair to mediocre, right? So you see that, and then from that moment, you get the attendance numbers, or you watch the pay-per-views and you see that they're like a quarter or 3/3 empty all the fucking time. When you say, wait a second, so they were at a certain level where they were able to, partner with a company and sell out Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, if you will. And then, after that, immediately take a nosedive in attendance.
Man, it's almost like these things are...
When you say that, they're doing a bad job, objectively speaking, not about, this person, even if somebody who was doing something you liked and the attendance dropped off to this extent, you would say, yo, it's not happening right now. Either they have no stars, or they've made no stars, or no one wants to watch their shit,
and no one can stop the bleeding.
Yeah, it's been months since that show. They have talented people, just like almost every other major American wrestling company does have. They have a number of people that have star potential. They have not gotten anyone ready, or gotten anyone to that point. So it is what it is. And as far as the coward thing is okay, so typically speaking, right? When you talk shit to someone or say something disparaging to someone and you don't say it to their face, they call you a coward. So if you had actually called in and you went back and forth with him, he would still say, you wouldn't say it to my face, because you have the distance of a telephone and technology to protect you. He would still call you a coward. Grow the fuck up. That's not gonna work, bro. That's not gonna work.
And I live by the mindset, do not bark up that tree will fall on you. And I am the tree. When it comes to this online shit or whatever, right? So Bully Ray brings his ass into the mentions, and do not come for me unless I send for you. I didn't at you, I didn't do anything. So since he showed up on my doorstep, I essentially had to take him out to the woodshed. So I responded. I said, one, I'm not calling in to give you content. As James mentioned, we get nothing out of it here on One Nation Radio. I get nothing out of it. It's nothing but a segment for you to clown, to cut up, to try to embarrass me, whatever. Two, I said, I was at the Garden like you were. Y'all got washed up to the point where your ticket maps have more blue on it than the Boise State football field, which I think was a clever metaphor, if I must say. Then third, I let him know ROH is in trouble whether I talked to you or not, and laughed in his face. And it was just amazing. I got, of course, some of the Busted Open Radio dumbasses trying to jump in the mentions, swatted them down. There was one gentleman that echoed the coward sentiment of Bully Ray. I told him to argue with the ticket map. And that was a good one as well. I don't think there is an answer for ROH right now, Dan. Either you got to be big or be little, and ROH is in that weird spot to where they had a chance to be big. They didn't want to. There's only so much money that they're going to put into this promotion. Like Sinclair's demonstrated this over and over again. They are who they are, and I think they are going to be the landing spot for the people that AEW and WWE and NXT don't want, which is like very few people. But
at this point,
if you're
WWE and you're trying to make sure that and you're trying to put out all fires. Yeah. That like there will be very few spots for that. Yeah, you're right.
And by the time a lot of these people that do have talent, like in ROH, like a Bandito or even a Matt Taven, for example, who's talented on some level, right?
Right. They clearly see something in them. Like no one, like they're not out here signing bums. And, like, these people aren't out here having bad matches. There's people that have no juice, for the most part. And also being booked poorly.
And by the time all these people get to free agency, what do you think is going to happen? Like, do you expect WWE and AEW not to have contracts ready for Marty Scurll? Like, hey, what you want? Like, do you think Bandito's going to be just, wondering, whoa, what he's going to be twiddling his thumbs, like, ready to re-sign with you? No, he's about to get these offers. So, and it looks like everyone's going to be headed out, like, from what it feels like, right? So, Bully Ray. Book a competent women's division. Start.
No. That's too big of a jump. It's too big of a jump.
Right?
Too big of a jump. Too big of a jump. It's too big of a jump. With your connection to Stardom and the women you have available, book a mediocre division.
Yes.
And then worry about booking one that's competent.
Yeah. Try to fill in that ticket map. Stop putting yourself in feuds because no one wants to see you anymore.
No. He didn't put himself in feuds, but he has to get people over. He didn't get flipped over. He get whooping Flip's ass over and over and over and over and over, even though that dude is can do pretty much anything in the ring, and all he is just green and needs more ring time. And they just beat his ass. And it's a dude that just literally got retired. They showed that he got retired by more or less by WWE. I put him in Hall of Fame, and he shows up and he just dominates and runs roughshod over Flip for 6 months to a year. It's like, gee, I wonder why they didn't get over that he couldn't beat up a guy that WWE has, that the big leagues has considered washed.
Because
I get real heat. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Like
that shit. Look.
Step your rap game up.
He did a lot of shit in the 90s I've seen some. I think some of the stuff he did was disgusting what he did. But I'm looking at it from my perspective and being in 2000, being now with the benefit of hindsight. But flat out, him and Ring of Honor, he ain't got a soul over. Not with him working matches. No, he hasn't gotten a soul over Ring of Honor. And that's part of your job, right?
Yeah. So you got a lot of things to do before you hop in my mentions about Ring of Honor, sir. So yeah, man. I had a fun day about 4 days ago, handling him and several other folks. So I just wonder.
And also the shit when people were talking to you, because I saw it with the part about, well, he did lose the Elite.
What the fuck's that mean?
I mean, like, that's true. That's fair, right? That's true and that's fair. Marty Scurll's still there. Marty Scurll's is still there. What happened? What's the excuse for that one?
Yeah.
Oh,
I ain't got nothing on that.
All right.
I just hope that Bully Ray can bear the responsibility of selling like 200 tickets to a show in a particular weekend.
To be fair, that show that you showed me recently, it looked like about 300 people.
Okay.
It's still way below what it should be, but it looked like about 300 people.
So work on getting back to 500 first, Bully. Work on not bringing fans in the back.
Work on trying to being able to outdraw Stardom. Stardom is a women's promotion that has to do with sexism. It has to deal with the fact that it is a smaller marketplace to try to push for, because there's 60 million people in Japan as opposed to 300 million people in America. Like, and somehow, without fail, every single show they do more, especially the pay-per-views. Kurkin, for Stardom, they are doing anywhere from like high 800s to 1,000 people every Kurgan show they do. What was the last pay-per-view that Ring of Honor did that did 1,000? Was it Madison Square Garden?
They just had that Summer Showdown pay-per-view, but I don't.
Yeah, they didn't do 1,000. They did less. That probably did less than the Best in the World did.
Yeah. It's really bad for them, y'all. So
yeah,
work on that stuff, and then you can come.
Oh, what makes it funnier is they have access to Stardom talent.
Incredible. So the next time Mr. Bully Ray wants to talk to me, he can do it right here on One Nation Radio. Not on Busted Open, not with Mark Henry, not with Dave LaGreca, telling you how much of a genius you are. You will get none of that, sir. You will come on One Nation Radio and get served. So consider the invite, had there. So anytime you want to bring it over here, I'm ready for you. So, Dan, as far as fixing Ring of Honor, good Lord, that's a lot to fix. So,
like how to fix Ring of Honor is, how about you book to what your fan base wants to see? That's the simplest, most broad term I could do it. Like, they're trying to book for a audience that doesn't exist, that they don't have, and will never come back. You need to book for people you have, and hopefully, like, that grows in numbers.
This is not Bryan Danielson's Ring of Honor. This is not CM Punk's Ring of Honor. This is not Tyler Black's Ring of Honor. This is not Nigel McGuinness's Ring of Honor. This is not Austin Aries' Ring of Honor.
People are coming to see the work rate. People are not coming to see you get heat.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, you look at WWE's number, dude. A lot of people are coming to see them get fucking heat. People want to see good matches, compelling stories, and stars. It's that simple. It's like that is literally like universal across like all of professional wrestling. Stop losing sight of this. Stop trying to outsmart yourself by saying, people don't want to see high impact offense. People people don't want to see compelling stars. People don't want to see stars either. Like, no, motherfucker, get those things done, and people will come. It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's hard as far as trying to do that sort of stuff, but like as far as the blueprint is fucking simple. Bricks and mortar, motherfucker.
Yeah. Like literally, there's like 100 years of pro wrestling history telling you and showing you what works. Try some of that. Fuck. So Jeremy says, how would you seed all the teams for the AEW tag team title tournament? This is kind of difficult because I don't know how many teams are in the tournament. I presume it's a 7-team tournament, maybe, because one person has a bye, or like Dark Order has a bye, so there has to be like, is that a bye to the semifinals? So I'm not sure. I know the Bucks and Private Party are there in one match. I'm not really sure on this one, Jeremy. I'll have to write down the teams, or figure that out and see what they got. Cause of course we got Best Friends. We've got, the Bucks.
They had so many tag teams.
Yeah. Private Party. We've got Santana Ortiz, Lucha Brothers. That's 5 right there. So, I would do another big match on the first round. You can do Best Friends in LAX for or Santana Ortiz to give them a win. I'm really conflicted on who should win here. I'm still thinking the Bucks should win the tag team tournament here, but
if you're talking about seeding, like I'm assuming one of the seeds in the first round has to be Private Party versus Evans and Angelico, right?
Nah, Private Party and the Bucks are facing each other in the first round.
Okay, so what was the whole part about them turning heel on Private Party then at the last show? Like, how are they going to get to that? They have to pay that off, or let me phrase it: a good show would pay that off. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, maybe it's a situation where they end up facing each other later on, but yeah, so. I'm not really sure about that one, Jeremy, so we'll have to see what they do. Nicholas Guerrero has a question. He said, with Smiley Kylie Ray having to retire, who do you think will be the big women's babyface in AEW going forward?
Right now, if you had to ask me, I'd probably say it's Britt, right? Like,
that's what I would think.
Sorry?
That's what I would think.
I mean, like, it seemed like they were pushing her as, like, they didn't know what they were going to do with her yet. But now that Kylie's out the picture and, like, there's clearly something that they're headed towards with her and B. Like, it seems like she's going to be positioned to be the top babyface. Like, I mean, for the title match is going to be Riho, you know, fighting for her life against a monster. But I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know how far they can go in with the Joshi stuff. If one, they're not actually going to do Joshi in the way that like would actually get over to his best at an optimal level, and also like if they're not going to figure out a way to get them to like buy into them emotionally as opposed to just the aesthetic. Outside of, oh my God, like this person is like, you know, is so desperate to win in the ring. Like they have to get beyond just that. Like you have to find a way to reach a larger audience in a way that like we wish that, you know, they would handle it better with like Asuka or Kairi Sane on the main roster.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be Britt. I wouldn't be shocked if it was, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's looking like Britt, like pretty handily.
Yeah, and like another thing is we kind of gotta see what the roster actually is, as opposed to like we saw that battle royal, so like we saw names, we don't know who's actually for sure signed and who's just there for who was there for a date. Like I think they need to like kind of like get that rolled out like in the next coming weeks. First need to find out a name for the fucking show, and then after that, like need to figure out like, all right, who do we actually have here, and how do we like let the people know that so they can like now try to get interested in our product?
I would definitely be trying to bring in Mercedes Martinez, lock her up quick. I think you also you're going to want to look at Tenille Dashwood if that's an option.
Yep.
And whenever Tessa's deal comes up, I think you make her say no. So, so you throw a bag at Tessa Blanchard to come on in. Let's see, and we got another question here. As I will stall. But yeah, man. Thank you guys for listening to the show as often as you do. The numbers are looking awesome. I clicked out of my questions menu here, so I'm just
you fucked up
filibustering here. Before
good thing this is live TV and not something, or live radio and not something you can just pause and come back and find, right? Yeah, you just want to fill the air.
Yeah, all right, cool. Fill the air. Save a little bit on the editing. I can just chop.
Save on the editing.
Save
like
on the time.
Click, drag, cut, or click, drag, delete, and then press record and play again, right?
So the next question, and I wanted to mention something quick about the Kylie Ray thing. Something's up. No one wants to say anything. It's really weird the way Tony Khan took that question, and I don't know.
I never heard the question.
Okay, so like when Sean Ross Sapp basically asked like, "Hey, what's up with Kylie Ray?" and he was like, there was a release, it was amicable, and he just looked very uncomfortable when he was saying it. Whatever this is, the story eventually will be out one day, and if it's a story that needs to be told, I think people should tell it and report on it. I'm not here for this, this weird overprotection of Kylie Ray that's going on in some circles, with due respect to her privacy or anything like that. Because, hearing about that line, from the company and everything like that is like, I don't know, man. That kind of language makes the mind go a lot of ways. So if there was some type of like health malpractice, if there was something else, that went on or anything like that, we're waiting. Like, I don't know what happened. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe it's like she decided she didn't want to be there. Whatever happened, she's not there anymore. But it looked really funny. When Tony Khan was asked about it. So, last question from Alistair Gray. He says, do titles mean anything anymore?
Depends on where you're talking.
Yeah, depends on exactly what James said. I think it depends on, where what promotion you're talking about, because if you're talking about the IWGP title, that means something.
Right. If you're talking about the IWGP title, that matters. Like the Cruiserweight title, the IWGP Cruiserweight title, that matters. The Stardom White Belt matters. Yeah. Right? Like it truly depends. Like the NXT Championship matters. The NXT Women's Championship matters. The NXT Tag Team titles matter. Like it depends on what we're really talking about. Absolutely. So I don't know where he was getting at, or if this was leading questions a general ask, but like honestly, it comes down to the promotion and how well they protect the titles.
Because titles always have a chance to mean something.
Right.
Like throughout the history of pro wrestling, I would say like titles have been used as, ways to get people in the building. People, have wrestlers that are working towards a goal that you want to see them finally get this thing. And it's like a mark of achievement. And I think there are a lot of cases where the titles, what goes wrong with them is they cut out why. They stop telling you why the title is important. They get away from the history of the title because of whatever relationships. One thing New Japan does that I just adore, and I hope AEW steals. Actually, I hope every promotion steals. Is a video every time there's a championship match of the championship. They show all the past champions, and I know in every case case that isn't always possible, but like have like a couple different options of videos you can play during whatever. Like say if you grab 10 former WWE champions before the WWE title match, something like that. I think that would add a lot. Be like, hey, this is the same belt that such and such had. This is the same thing. Like you remember that, don't you? You remember those legendary champions, those good times, these guys. Well, that's going on now, and I think it's a reluctance to embrace history because even though, in WWE's case, they control the history, but they control the history. Like, it's like they know the history. Like, there's only certain ways they want to frame their history, I feel like. And
yeah, absolutely. Vince is so one because like people, they're petty and people run afoul of them, or they do things that other people just are not gonna just like take standing or take laying down, and like they just decide or there's a business relationship that's not going the way that they want, so then they just pretend like you don't exist for whatever reason, and like I don't really see the long-term benefit of it at times, but it is what it is. If you don't want to give somebody shine, then it's like, all right, just not mention them or downplay it, but like to pretend like a motherfucker can't go to Wiki page and see what's there. Like, okay,
like, imagine them playing the WWE video and then like CM Punk being in it. Like, obviously he's being supposed to be in it, right? Like, I feel like WWE would like try to edit him out or something like that, like just so they won't have to have the picture pop up and see the fans react. And it's like something they run from. Like, it's I don't know, man. I think
there's also a thing because like they have been into over the last, let's say roughly 20 years that like they are a heel promotion. Like they do stuff, they do stuff that is not necessary just to benefit whatever makes them feel good at certain points, and it's usually never for the benefit of their actual fan base. Like it's never like something that makes you feel good about the company and what's going on between like their relationship with their former stars or whatever else. So it's like you keep doing that, and it's like, all right, like think about what happened with where we were with all the heat in the end of last year, where like they just basically like, Becky, Seth, Kofi, they're all winning at WrestleMania because AEW is coming, and we don't want to be seen and we don't want to be seen as the bad guy in front of PR. It's like, motherfucker, that should have been the case every fucking day that you've been doing it, not because AEW is now around, you assholes. Like what kind of shit is that?
Yeah.
So it's like, get it together. Like people don't want to watch, people like shows whatever that ran by bad people necessarily, whatever. I'm not saying they're necessarily the most evil motherfuckers in the world. There are plenty, like you turn on the news, there are plenty of people that are way more evil or way more evil companies than motherfucking WWE, right? You got motherfuckers selling your information on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever else, right? Like when an app is free, you are the product.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like so like I'm not so for me it's just like there are steps for them to take to where like they shouldn't have to run from their history, and also like if they didn't do all the bullshit booking they do, whatever else, and they give you the feel bad all the time, whatever else, they wouldn't have to like pretend something happened. Like they won't have to pretend like Jinder Mahal wasn't their 50th WWE champion. They could just run the thing and not have to hear about massive boos, whatever else. It is what it is because okay, like. They tried to give me good product as much as they possibly could and not try to do goofy stuff to try to get me heated to want to come back and see a payoff and delete stuff and move down the line. Like it's like there's a clear difference between the way certain people book and then like you look and you just suppose that with like the history of like American booking, right? And it's like a lot of that garbage and stuff that like it's not just WWE, but it's like they're the only one left standing, so like they bear the brunt of all of that stuff, and they also do it like So they do it without knowing that someone else is doing it because I don't know how much WCW Vince McMahon was actually watching. Like he doesn't know he's making like some of the but that doesn't mean mistakes but at the same time doesn't mean that like all right, like let's not false advertise every fucking week on social media and then pretend like people don't know what the deal is here and then like wonder why your turnout is down.
And I think they
fucking with people,
and I think they misstep with Brock like too much in one direction to where it was like I don't care about that Universal title anymore. It's like you will just throw it off of TV for months at a time, and it's like I don't care. Like when I see that belt, it's like I don't give a fuck. I just don't like. And it's a made up title that they pulled out of thin air a couple years ago anyway. So it's like
like if this was Brock that had the long title run, and it was Brock that was like let's say before he beat the Undertaker, before he broke the streak, if that was that Brock that was out here holding the belt forever, it was like that's cool because like, I know every time he shows up, it's going to be on. Like it sucks that there's not a champion every single week, and like what the fuck are these goofs actually fighting for? But at the end of the day, you will still say, I know I'm going to get my money whenever Brock Lesnar brings his ass out here for a pay-per-view match, as opposed to it's going to be some shenanigans where you split some fucker's head open legitimately, even though they're, blood and guts now. So, or it's just a glorified squash match.
Yeah. Or it's just like a part-timer prop like that happened. Yeah. It's that too. There's a lot of like ways that like I think that can mess titles up.
A lot of stuff is chicken and egg with WWE, right? Yeah. Like a lot of stuff is like, well, are they any more guilty than other like previous North American or American promotions or North American promotions where like there's rough bumps in like every other fucking like AAA match, but
WCW 2000 changing the belt like 35 times and
and you're just like that. Yeah, and you're just like, what's chicken and egg here? And like they're not all to blame, but they definitely have responsibility in like what their lot in life is right now.
And then like contrast like the last time Brock had the belt to AJ Styles, like, and you treat him like a second class champion, even though you're putting this guy out there for a year with the title. Anybody would think like, oh, a year title reign, that must have been awesome, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like great either because they treated him, they put him in the middle of the show, they made his feuds last forever, they just like it was not. This should have been AJ Styles running through motherfuckers, displaying why he's the best that you have in this company with that belt. They never gave him the main event. Like they literally just like
because
because they're trying to establish the red belt so hard that they Intercontinental Championshiped their WWE title.
Yeah, you can say that. I wouldn't disagree. I mean, there's also the whole situation where, like, look, ultimately all this comes back to is bad booking as far as, like, wins and losses don't matter. It's 50-50 booking, so therefore, like, wins don't propel you in the way that they should if everything mattered. So, like, like, you look at the Cody thing from WWE perspective, it's like, okay, so Cody is VP and EVP, and, like, he's not getting title shot. The next title shot, oh, look at that, right? As opposed to like, okay, so wins and losses mattered. Like he just beat his feud with a dude that split his head open. Before that, he won, what was then at that point, or one of the greatest matches in AEW history, short history, very short history. Like, and the crowd loves him. Like that dude's over, therefore he should get a title shot. Like it's not that fucking difficult, but like. the only, it's really weird, like how they do it. It's like WWE like has half the idea right, but then like does the other half wrong, and like all just invalidates everything else. Like if there was a consistent through point of how they do like their booking, where they book like programs, short term programs on TV or whatever else, like they absolutely get it to where like who's the next number one contender? Okay, this person, because he's been on a win streak or whatever else. They don't do that like in the way they used to. Like last time they really did it well was like what, Ryback and CM Punk, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's probably other instances too. Like Ryback, obviously you can say who?
I was gonna say Ryback and CM Punk, and then
right, like think about AJ Styles, his first title run, right? Like
he was getting hot all outside the title picture until he was it was finally, by the time he hopped in it, people were ready for it and they were ready for him.
But the thing is, he was losing. He lost WrestleMania Jericho. He never beat
Roman,
and then like he faced Cena. He gets a DQ situation to get out, and he does a SummerSlam match where he goes over on Cena, and then immediately he's in the next title shot because he's being moved to SmackDown. Like that was not necessarily the smoothest way to get there. You could have done a better job with him, especially earlier on. But like, it took until the John Cena thing for him to finally have the thing that validated him as being like a guy that's actually should be at the top of card before they even got to the brand split. Like, I mean, if there was ever a brand split, like you probably didn't even win the fucking. Probably never was a title.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and especially with Brock around, and he had the belt on reserve forever. But
yeah, good point. Yeah.
So, yeah. So and then you get into that weird situation where you're booking people above the belt, like so, and then when the title's not actually the title, it's the ace role. Like there's a lot of different factors. I'm glad you sent this question in, Alistair, because this is like a question, like it's like an open-ended branching kind of question, right? Like it depends, because you can always like put the belt on your top guy and make it a one thing, but when you start trying to get cute and do things like I said it on this show for years, like Roman Reigns was booked above the belt like for all these years, so when he didn't win it, it just was awkward when other people had it. And now Rollins, he's kind of getting a chance, but I think that thing is like the damage with Brock and that belt is just so much. It doesn't even like. I guess people are happy to see the belt every week. I'm not sure. I'm not actively like watching like that, but like
I mean. That was what their plan was. Like you look at what they did the last two WrestleMania builds with Brock, where it's like, whether it was Roman or it was Seth, like the main story that they picked up on was that people were sick of this like absentee champion shit, and like they were going to be the guy that brings it back, and they both put on, they both said stuff that was written for them to say, like, I'm going to be the fighting champion. It gives opportunities to all these other guys, and the you deserve it shit or whatever else, as opposed to like,
I'm the best motherfucker here, and I want that belt, and I'm tired of you.
Yeah, I mean, and like there was some of that, but like like I don't want to relitigate fucking WrestleMania 34 again with what they did to Roman, but like it just. So much of that was so like not what people wanted. Like we want to like there was like that was something that like some of the stuff they did was like that would have made for a good promo for 1 week, not like base that around the whole fucking program. Is like, oh, you don't show up. Like they made that the whole thing is Brock don't show up. It's like, okay, how many times are we going to do that now?
Yeah,
it's like I love Becky to death, but how many times is Becky going to say that like she is the one that climbed and scrapped, or she scrapped the moral of her storyline. She's scrappy, and other people aren't scrappy like she is. Like, as opposed to building on like our personal vendettas. And I think they've done a good job with Becky and Becky and Sasha so far. But like with wrestling moving at the pace that it does, it's faster than ever, and wrestling has always been something that moves pretty fast. Like, there's a shelf life to everything, and like the shelf life is getting faster while they're like not adjusting to the fact that there's a shelf life. They don't really figure out like a way to transition out of stuff and move on and have things evolve. And I think you hear people talk that on the company or work for the company, they talk about like wanting to try to do things whatever else, but it's like it's kind of getting held up because One, how can you evolve when like you don't even know what direction you're going if you're going left or right because Vince can change his fucking mind every single week.
And the show is being rewritten like week to week, and it's just whatever.
The only thing you really have is you turn heel, so you're going to come out wearing something dark.
Yeah, you're going to be wearing leather. You know,
evolution. You turn goth. You wear dark now. You wear dark stuff instead of colors. Okay, like great.
Yeah.
Like you. Okay.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, thanks for sending that question in, Alistair. And that's going to wrap up One Nation Radio this week. Thank you guys, as I mentioned earlier, for listening to the show every week and, you know, rocking with us and everything like that. James, you got anything you want to get into before we get up out of here?
Yeah, saw I believe there's a the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
King of the Ring quarterfinals or whatever else. So you have Mustafa Ali versus Elias, you have Andrade versus Gable, you have Ricochet versus Samoa Joe, and you also have Corbin versus Cedric Alexander. Okay, 3 of these matches are babyface with an injury working underneath. 3 of them. Cedric Alexander was the lucky one that drew the straw to not have to work his leg. So he got his arm worked over, so he's able to actually do stuff, as opposed to Mustafa Ali and Ricochet. Dude, Joe worked over Ricochet's leg by checking him with kicks to both legs, and then he actually hits him with, like, best way I can explain is like a knee buster, right? Ricochet proceeds to run, jump, sprint, flip, twist, twirl, somersault.
Good.
All around. And I was just like,
good. Look, don't conform to none of that shit, Ricochet. That you know, like, we know what Ricochet is here for.
Rich, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying is, like, that's not people don't want to see Ricochet not do the shit he does, right? I agree. The problem is Ricochet worked the start of the match by getting the advantage by out grappling Samoa Joe at the beginning. and so he beat him by out grappling him, right, in chain wrestling. And then Joe, his plan B was, fuck it, I'm gonna take his legs out. And then he started doing all the jumpy flippy shit. And I was like, God damn it, I can't escape it. And this was after, because I watched these matches today after getting recommendations about how good the match were. And I've been watching all the King of the Ring stuff, because the good King of the Ring stuff, a lot of people think like this is the best King of the Ring ever, right? So, at least from bell-to-bell standpoint. Yeah. So, before that, I caught up on, because, you know, Stardom, you heard the whole ordeal with them putting up these shows late and like whether or not like the subtitles and all of this stuff. So I actually finally got around to watching the show that had the bad subtitles, which they actually re-put up and took away the subtitles, the bad subtitles. They just have it blank. We just like, you don't know what they're saying. So anyway, I'm watching that, and I watched Arisa versus Natsuko Tora, and that whole match is, you know, Arisa, you watch it, she don't do shit except for kick. She has her match, she doesn't do shit except for kicking this whole fucking match, and then she unloads knee strikes, runs, and kicks, and then beats Natsuko, and then Natsuko's a geek, so whatever. And I'm just like, I swear the last 4 Arisa matches, I swear I can count with 2 hands the number of moves she did that didn't involve her fucking feet. Her last 4 matches. So I go from that to watching, and the match was good. So I go from that to watching King of the Ring, and I see that Ricochet does that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And then I see, and then I watched the SmackDown portion of King of the Ring, and Mustafa Ali hurts his knee, and then he sefs it. He jumps, he lands. Oh, my knee. And I'm just like, I'm over this shit. Like,
why do they never do this with, like, Bobby Roode or Dolph Ziggler or someone like that's spectacular? Someone that's grounded, right? Like, they only take spectacular motherfuckers and make them sell the leg. Like, I don't.
Or better yet, why don't you do it better and build it into like, wow, this dude's really overcoming his injuries and fighting through and gunning through. Like, Cedric got okay.
Like, when's the last time Roman Reigns had to sell the leg?
Wait, who?
Like, when's the last time Roman Reigns had to sell the leg?
He doesn't really do leg selling. What he in some of his big matches that I recall is, like, for example, Fastlane 2015. He sold the hernia injury he had. And, like Brock will have eventually like the diverticulitis pops back up on him time to time, right? Like, so that's how they get around from it, right? It's like they some torso. They had Rousey sell bad ribs against Alexa Bliss last fall.
Ooh,
so
yeah,
look, those matches are all better than like, oh, I'm gonna run and I am a fucking gymnast or whatever else. I get my leg hurt and then I'm going to be hurting and I'm going to continue to do the same thing and hurt my leg over and over, or not selling at all, or throw strikes, kicks, whatever. But my thing is, if you do it like, okay, so perfect example of like, well, James, how else you gonna have a really good match if you just don't move or whatever else? All right, well, I would suggest that you tune into, what was the G1 date? The G1 Dallas date, was that June
6th,
early June or
July 6th?
Sorry. July 6th.
Yeah.
Turn on go New Japan World, July 6th. Kota Ibushi versus Kenta. Kota Ibushi goes for a punch over the top rope, lands on the floor, tweaks his ankle. He then proceeds to wrestle for the next, 10 minutes of top-notch wrestling with barely doing any move because he legitimately hurt his ankle. Copy that. Do it like that. It's not that hard. Or watch a Hiroshi Tanahashi match when once he gets his knee tweaked one damn time. And they talk about the bone cartilage, and like you'll see him, someone will try to whip him to the ropes and will just fall because my knee fucking hurts. I can't do anything. All I can do is basically just stand on my feet and fight and fight and fight.
Yep.
He has better match consistency than everybody else on the main roster in WWE. while doing this version of a match all the time.
Yeah.
Look, I can watch a Hiroshi Tanahashi match, and I can tell you what he's going to do. He's going to drag the screw leg whip you. He is going to then chain wrestle you. He is then at some point going to do something to where a high fly flow or something to where he's going to tweak his knee, and then he's going to do what I just said, where he's not going to be stationary, not move at all, and then he's going to slap the shit out of you, and then from there it's all awesome to the finish.
Yeah,
that's every Hiroshi Tanahashi big match this year. Look, I understand he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah.
But
more people should try to do that.
More people should try to do stuff like that. I'm not saying every match needs to be a Tanahashi match, but focus on the moves that you have that, like, if you were somebody spectacular, that can showcase, like, what can I do when I don't have all this at my disposal? What can I do to basically, like, show that I have heart and I'm smart and I can adapt to situations? Not just, like they always say about the Patriots in theory when they try to blow the Patriots about how great they are, is like they make sure that you play with your offhand, right? Like if you're a great passing team, they make sure that all you do is run during a playoff game, that sort of thing. All right, like how come nobody else is like showing how to overcome that or work from a defense situation? Always, they took away the shit that's supposed to like be my bread and butter, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it any damn way. Like that always pulls out the match. I'm always like, what's going on here? And this isn't just a WWE problem. Like this is a lot of different places, but like when WWE does 3 fucking matches for the same tournament in the same round on back-to-back nights doing it, it's like, yo, this just stands out. That's all I had. That's all I had.
Awesome, man.
All four matches were good.
Yeah. Sounds like it. So the semifinals, it looks like there's a triple threat match set up which makes absolutely no fucking sense, by the way.
Check this out, Rich. Check this out.
If this was the King of the Ring 1993.
Check this out, Rich. Corbin advances. Samoa Joe versus Ricochet. They had the same match I laid out to you where he does all the shit, right? Joe gets him basically planted on the top rope, almost in like a back suplex position.
Yep.
And then Joe slaps on his choke. So he's in the rope, so there's no fear of a tap out or whatever else. Ricochet, like I said, he worked over his legs the whole time. Ricochet used the post to push off the flip down so they could fall, and then they both covered each other. And I'm like, even the finish involved him using his fucking feet when they're hurt to get to this. I'm like, yeah, I can't. I love you, Ricochet, but damn, like, where's the quality control to say, like, yeah, bro, like this don't really. No. There is. Well, then again, there is no quality control probably at this point.
Yeah.
Like Vince does what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's fine. He owns it, but like,
so it was a draw, right? Like it
was a draw.
And instead of both of these motherfuckers being out, they're both like advancing.
Yes.
In what fucking company does someone like a draw, a no contest? If it was a double count out, would have just been the same result, or like what's the deal? Like they both lost.
I'm assuming in that situation, they depending on the booker, either you go in that situation of double count out, you restart the match, or
y'all both eliminated.
No, either you restart the match for a later date, or right then, or the other person on the other side of that bracket
gets a bye.
Just advances. Yeah, right.
Like I would think Corbin would just advance, but
right.
WWE is rewriting, so both motherfuckers lost, so they both move on. So we had
look, and they did this to a heel. They did this to Corbin, who's a heel. Like they fucked the heel.
Yeah. The
heel just went. I'm not gonna do Steiner math. I promise you, I'm not. The heel went from a 50-50 chance of winning to a 33 and 1/3 chance of winning. But that's as far as I'm going with the Steiner math. But they fucked the heel, and it's like, what even is this?
So on the other side, we've got Elias and Chad Gable. Is it in the semifinals?
Yes.
So hopefully, Chad Gable can move on. My Ricochet Andrade final no longer exists, so I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like, do you really run the risk of putting Elias in a pay-per-view match for something that matters?
Fuck no.
All right, then. So that means you think, and also like Gable's getting over. Shocker! Like a guy that's always been creative, getting over while wrestling, is getting over while in a wrestling tournament.
Boy, it's like a guy a couple weeks ago on this show said something about Gable, and he could actually do something for you,
Yeah. So, that was the best match of the four from this week, right? So, Gable. So my thing is Gable advances. So that means Corbin is actually going to be a real threat. Corbin's going to win this shit, or not win it, but like Corbin's going to be in the final.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
it sounds like it could be Corbin and Gable.
Corbin and Gable.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, that pretty much is like for me is like, yes, they're giving them something by
they actually have chemistry.
Sorry,
they actually have chemistry, Corbin and Gable. So like.
Okay.
One of the greatest Baron Corbin all-time moments, and trust me, there's not many, is the end of days that he gave.
No, there are plenty if you're trying to be like, if you're talking about like, if you're being subversive and you're thinking like, all right, like when he failed to cash in or stuff like that.
Yeah. So when he hits the end of days on Gable, like there's this crazy way that he sets that up. That's like a head scissors into the end of days. Like it actually happened, I believe, on the show that we were at, the Takeover, NXT Takeover Respect 2015. I believe that it was Rhino and Corbin against American Alpha, and this is when they were first getting started. And the finish is Corbin doing that crazy ass end of days at Gable, and it was nuts. So maybe like they're gonna be having this final match for just one spot. So I hope I see it. So
and also like another thing about
maybe he can kick out of the end of days. Maybe that can do something for him because no one ever kicks out of the end of days.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, okay. Well, wait, didn't Seth kick out of that eventually, like during this summer? No,
I don't think he did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, I just they're gonna do Corbin or whatever else. Like they can do it. Like but King Corbin, like
please don't.
You know what they're gonna do. You already have an idea of what they're gonna do with him based off what they've done to previous heels that are like not top of the line heels or whatever else. And I think at this point, like they kind of already know because they took his ass off TV for a while, right? So they already kind of like. Yeah, man, like we're past that. Like you're just gonna be a mid-card heel, and like you know what they do with mid-card heels with the King gimmick that won King of the Ring is like if that's where they're gonna slot him now, all right, fine, whatever.
Jesus Christ.
But like they could actually propel Gable to being like, all right, like let's put him in the Intercontinental Championship mix or whatever else. Like let's try to make a new let's try to aim for the next Daniel Bryan, that sort of thing. Even though we still have Daniel Bryan, like that could be something they could do. I don't know which way they go with it, but like I have a hard time believing they're actually going to really go ahead with this Ricochet thing after they decide to do this, because like him overcoming 2 heels to win the triple threat match and get to the final and then face Elias is like, so you're going to put him over by like having him fight a dude that is going to have a that's going to be the worst guy, the worst heel he's going to face throughout the whole tournament. Like that sounds like hustling backwards to me.
Yeah, after beating McIntyre and shit like that. So
beat McIntyre, face Samoa Joe, and Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin comes through when he actually doesn't get the chance to throw in chin locks in triple threat matches. Like, and then you say, oh yeah, now Elias. Like what?
Yeah. So whichever way they go,
that's not like something they do. That I mean.
This is my promotion. I just do the face versus face match and be like, hey, y'all got 15 minutes. Y'all go kill it.
15 minutes for Gable and Ricochet.
Yeah.
I mean, one could dream.
Yeah.
I have to see it to believe it though.
Yeah. But let's get the fuck out of here. We're over 2 hours at this point. So,
wow,
yeah, make sure you guys are rating and reviewing us on whatever you're listening to, is iTunes, Podbean, whatever. Make sure you guys are checking out One Nation Radio here on Sundays. Tuesdays, we got Keeping It Strong Style with Jeremy and Josh. I believe Josh will be returning this week. Will not be doing back-to-back duty on Keeping It Strong Style this week because I have watched none of the Road to Destruction. So, every Wednesday we got the Ricky and Clyde Wrestling Show. Every other Wednesday we've got Grown Men Watch This Shit. We got Get in the Ring with Danny and Beats Mike. And then on Saturdays, All Things Elite with Floyd Johnson, sometimes Amy, sometimes Tiffany. So for James, it's time to get the fuck up out of here, and we'll holler at y'all next week.
Later.
Peace.